Chapter 7, Section 3 by Socorro, Raul, and myself.
This is all about mo money, show me the money. This section is, to preface this is either all about free speech or corruption of elections or maybe a little bit of both.
Alright, so running for office can cost you a lot of money. It leaves open possibility that candidates will try to buy their way into public office. Parties and candidates must have money. Without it, they cannot campaign or do any of the many things they must do to win elections.
Opinion is spending. No one really knows how much money is spent on election in the United States. For 2004, total spending for all the major and minor party presidential efforts, primaries, conventions, campaigns, etc. reached $2 billion. Some of the raising campaign expenses include things like advertising, with TV ads being most expensive, polls, mass mailings, websites, campaign itself, and travel.
So you guys didn't do any totals beyond the year 2004? I know that's where your textbook ended. Did you do any research on your own?
But it's gone up.
Are you asking me if it's gone up?
No, but I'm pretty sure.
But you don't know. You don't have any data or analytics to back that up. I will back up your claim there. In fact, you look there at the 2004. They're talking about all the campaign stuff together, everything built in. I will tell you, in 2008, just President Obama alone raised over $1 billion.
Wow.
Over $1 billion, that's with a B, dollars for campaigning. That's more than any other campaign in the history of this country.
Why is it that they don't really know, they don't keep a record as to how many people implement money towards it?
It's a great question, Joey. Remember, since we're a two-party system, and much of what happens at the party is at the local level, there isn't the infrastructure, the political or financial infrastructure in place, oftentimes to measure that. So sometimes they have to kind of guesstimate. Good question.
Sources of funding. Parties and their candidates draw their money from two basic sources: private contractors and the public treasury.
Whoa, back up.
Contributors.
Huh?
Private contributors.
Okay, private contributors, but then you said the public treasury. You know what that means? You're
That's
saying
our
that
money.
taxpayer dollars are being used for people who run for office. Does that strike anyone as bizarre?
Yeah. Why is it that they can't just come up instead of wasting all this money on trying to get people to know them when they could just easily come out of the TV? A lot of people right here does have a way to get on the radio or on the TV, and we're wasting a lot of money to print out stuff for the campaigns when we can actually be advertising really. Having the fact that we got the TV and the radio, and I think if we were able to do that, we'd have a lot of money saved off or subtracted from whatever amounts adds up to that whole campaign of that year.
So let me ask you this: when you say, let me quote you, you said we're wasting. When you say we, who's the pronoun we?
Well, those who run for campaign actually have to say that. The money that they waste on making imprints on shirts or on papers or making logos and all these signs that you see out there, why can't we just use TV or a radio or a natural source and just get the whole word out there, because everyone really watches the TV. It's not like they don't.
Okay, Joy, let's turn that back to Ramon, because Ramon and Raul and Socorro, on your first slide, you said, where is most of the money spent from a campaign? It's spent
on ads, on television.
Television. Why is so much spent on TV?
Because it
Yes,
goes to
a lot.
everyone.
Okay, as Joey mentioned, it reaches a wide audience, but there's another very important reason why would so much be allocated for the TV?
Because it's entertainment.
Okay, we know you reach a wide audience. We agree with that, but there's another very significant reason that so much of the campaign's money is allocated for TV.
Because it focuses more on
Those who come out on TV.
focuses more on those that
Will
come
vote for it.
Okay, we all agree it reaches a big audience, but there's another reason why.
It's cheaper.
Oh,
it's more
entirely the
expensive.
opposite of that.
That's the
Is
most
it because
expensive.
the young or something?
It's super.
The audience they're trying to reach out to?
Okay, well, they definitely want to use the TV to reach a maximum audience, but to get your advertisements on TV is phenomenally expensive. In fact, during the Super Bowl, as an example, now, granted, they're going to charge you more high.
Wasn't it like 4 billion for like a 30-second little ad?
It's in the millions for 30 to 60-second ads during the Super Bowl. So you can imagine on a normal, how much you're paying for prime time. If you get on a prime time when people get home from work, they're eating dinner, how much do you think you're paying for your political ads during that time period?
A lot.
A lot.
So is it because maybe they want to reach a certain part of the public that is probably watching the news, or they're watching certain channels, and it's certain people that they are actually
A
trying to reach?
demographic, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Private and public sources. Most money comes from private givers such as small contributors, wealthy individuals, political action committee, temporary fundraising groups, and candidates themselves. Small contributors are those who give $5 or $10 or so, and occasionally wealthy individuals and families, also listed as fat cats, who can make large donations and find it in their best interest to make them. Candidates, for example, Ross Perot. Perot. Holds an all-time record. He spent $65 million of his own money on his independent bid for presidency.
Okay, now think about that. That's 1992.
65.
$65 million. He's now this guy, granted, he's a Texas billionaire, and if you guys get the chance, I wish we could do it in here. Pull up, Google his. He used to buy these ads like prime time on TV, and he's a small little Texan with these big ears, and he used to get on the TV, and he'd show these charts, and he'd say, this is what we need to do. This is an independent guy, because of his money, was able to go toe-to-toe with the GOP and the Democratic candidates. The GOP was George Bush Sr., the Democratic candidate was Bill Clinton, and he at one point had more on the polls, was ranked higher in terms of the popular vote than either the GOP or the Dems. So do you think the Dems and the GOP are going to stand for that?
Nope.
Both of them. Very, very seldomly does this happen. But both Bush and Clinton stopped going after each other and went after Perot. So I would Google, if I were you, I would Google Perot ads and Perot debates. Very entertaining. Very entertaining.
Everyone, go.
Campaigns, particularly presidential campaigns, receive public funds from federal and state treasuries as well. For example, Barack Obama raised $230 million via the Internet in 2008, mostly in sum of less than 100.
And that brings up a good point, because President Obama was by far the most successful in terms of utilizing new media. He got out to, and specifically demographics, the younger generation, and those less likely to vote. He accessed them through all the social media, the new media, and he got more individual campaign donations that way as well. And still, overall, of course, he still went with the big cats, which were the PACs and the corporations and the unions, but he broke new thresholds in areas that had never. Very savvy, very savvy in terms of campaigning.
What do you guys mean by mostly in the sum of less than $100?
Like I guess every person donated less than 100, and at the end, like millions of people voted less than 100, and they added up to 200 million at the end, I guess.
That doesn't include all the other sources. That's just that target.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
What people get. Campaigning donation are found from a political participation. People who make campaigning donations to them for their reason. Small donators particularly give money because they believe in a party or candidate. Many of those who give whoever want something in return wish to influence public policy or want improve access to the government. Candidates also raise money through telethons and fundraising.
Let me ask you this question before you go on. Do you think that donating money to a campaign is like free speech?
Yes,
Why?
because you're giving them the power to like say their ideas,
Your
to
money
say
is
their
your
side,
yeah.
like their story, like what they want the people to hear. Without money, they can't tell the people what they want them to hear.
What were you saying, Joey?
Oh, what was I saying?
Money speaks or something.
Oh, well, in a way, it's like freedom of speech because it's not like they're forcing you to give them money, you know, it's whether you want to be like, all right, I believe in you, you know, I believe we could change something, so I'm going to give you, you know, this much. And so that kind of counts as freedom of speech. In a way, you're kind of giving them money, so it really kind of doesn't, but because it's free to you to decide whether you want to give it to them. Like freedom of speech.
Yeah, it's like you're paying for your own idea. Like if I have an idea, I'm gonna pay like that representative so he could like support it. Yeah.
Like if you have a lot of money to back it up, then they'll take
Yeah.
it into consideration. I feel like it's an important issue. But if you don't have, if you won't contribute a lot, then your idea will just kind of be put to the side.
Now, would you believe that there'd be an argument over this issue?
Yeah, I'm sure there has been.
What is
And that's why there's some
cabinets
limits.
or stuff that.
Some limits put on how much you can contribute.
Theoretically, but are there ways to continue, if you're limited in some area, can you continue to contribute in other areas?
I'm sure you can.
Like what do you?
Like if you contribute, like maybe you set the limit on how much you can contribute. Like, is there other ways for you to still keep on contributing without them knowing or something, right?
I don't want to get ahead of these guys because I know you're going to hard money and soft money. Hang on, Daniela. But let's say Joey was running for governor of California, and I really thought Joey would do a great job, and I wanted to donate as much money to his campaign as I could. I know that hard money limitations say that I can only give him as an individual up to $5,000. But let's say I have more I want to donate. Is there another way I can get money to him because I'm limited by the FEC to $5,000? The answer is yes. Joey is an libertarian, so he's part of the Libertarian Party. So I could then donate
To that party.
I could donate $15,000, $20,000, $50,000 to the Libertarian Party, hoping and thinking that the Libertarian Party would then do things that would benefit Joey's run for the governorship.
It all makes sense.
Should that
That'd be soft money.
soft money? Should that money be limited?
Yes, it was limited to them too.
You're for the idea of limiting people's ability to donate money to
No.
campaigns or to political causes.
Well, because okay, like.
So you want to limit my free speech? You just told me that was.
Well, yeah, but I'm playing devil's advocate now. I'm saying, okay, now I'm saying that money should be, soft money should be limited because if you, for example, if, like you were just saying, you like Joey as a candidate, and if you give money to the party so that they can help Joey, but then in return you want something from Joey, those kind of things can lead to corruption.
But you're assuming that I would want something corrupt, or that Joey would do something corrupt. He hasn't done anything. You're making an assumption that hasn't even happened and may never happen. And because of what might happen, you want to limit my free speech right now.
It hasn't happened. We may not have evidence against him, but we have evidence against.
So I can judge you based on things that people from your community have done. That's
Yes.
fair to
Yes,
stereotype
that's fair
you?
because it's in order to prevent that
And
from
they're out.
happening again.
Well, actually, this is very interesting because this was an argument that President Obama had with the United States Supreme Court a little while ago. And they went toe to toe. And you guys know what ended up happening on that?
No.
What?
happened?
Daniela won.
A decision was made.
We'll have to come back to that in a little bit.
Obamacare.
I have a question about the Buckley.
Just do it.
Buckley.
Crystal.
Okay, hang on to that question. Let
Okay.
Some big donors want appointments to public office, and others want to keep the ones they have. Some known for social recognition, for example, dinner at the White House, meeting with a cabinet official, or knowing the governor on a first-name basis. Others want certain laws passed, changed, or repealed, or certain administrative actions taken.
That's basically where it
Yeah,
comes
that's
down.
Say it again.
That's basically where it comes down to kind of like what is it? I don't even know.
Limiting their freedom of speech.
That's basically where the Philippines is corrupt.
Okay, well let's say you're Phil LeGrand, and I'm a law enforcement, and I see you coming out of LeGrand, and I decide I'm going to profile you based on your demographic or planata. You're coming out, you have a certain demographic, so I'm going to profile you. You're coming out there, I'm more likely to pull you over because of your.
That's illegal.
No, that's discriminating unequally. If you like set limits on everyone, then that's discriminating equally.
Well, aren't you discriminating when you already know that some people aren't going to be able to speak as much? So you are profiling. You're saying you're limiting by their ability to be able to do something. I could donate more money, and now you want to limit my ability to do that because you say historically these quote-unquote fat cats contribute more and that there's a greater propensity or likelihood for corruption. And so I am profiling. I'm profiling you based on a specific characteristic, which is your economic standing. I am profiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Okay, she's okay with discrimination then.
Get out. Just see that door? Use it. Nah.
I'm okay with that because okay, what if corruptness goes rampant, and then you just have all of these people in office who aren't even meant to be in there. They're not even equally. They're not qualified for the job. They're just there because of the money that was funded and the deals that were made.
So you're saying that since over 70% of the people in the presidency and the Congress are lawyers, that they're corrupt?
I'm saying.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Stop life.
I say that because my brother's an attorney. All right.
Is it?
No, lawyers do have a good way of lying. That's what they were trained for, basically.
Right.
You're profiling?
Joey, let's say you have a terrorist profile. You come from Yemen and you are Muslim. You're Muslim radical. Can I specifically pull you out for a body search at the TSA at the airport?
Yeah. Random search in the United States or in
Joey like that cavity search.
All right.
So I'll plead the 4th and the 5th, mate.
Not if you're in Israel.
Mr. I think the
That's what I'm
amendments.
saying. Am I in the United States?
Are you guys going to talk about the FICA amendment?
Actually, my mom just gave me this section. Pretty cool.
Alright, let's put it in.
I don't even know if I have it.
Okay. Moving on.
Regulating campaign financing. Congress first began to regulate the use of money in federal elections in 1907. It passed the most recent campaign finance law in 2002. Federal laws required the disclosure of campaign finances, limit contributions and expenditures, and provide federal funding for presidential elections.
The Federal Election Commission. The Federal Election Commission often struggled to enforce campaign finances laws due to the lack of transparency.
Disclosure requirements. Each candidate has a single committee responsible for all campaign spending and recording all campaign contributions. Contributions or leave of more than 200 must be identified by source and by date. Any spending over 200 must also be identified by the name of the person or firm to whom payment was made, by date and by purpose. Contributions of more than 5,000 must be reported to the FTC.
Okay, and again, this is dated material, I can tell you, because this is from the textbook. Those dollar amounts are different now. So, really important, guys, in the future, if you're presenting, I know the textbook's got good information, but it is dated, so you need to make sure your research and your information is current. And I want to dovetail on this by asking you another question. Do you think it's right, if I wanted to donate to Joey, should my name be put out in public? Does the FEC, should the FEC require that Joey put out a public list as part of the FEC requirements so that everyone can see if I donated to his campaign?
No.
No. I would say maybe. Yeah, it probably should be so that way.
So no one gets hurt.
Well, maybe they might keep it as a record to see, well, obviously for number one, to see who contributed, you know? And secondly, maybe that person that contributed the most is probably getting, you know, favors done. So if they notice that something's up between me and you, let's say, you know, and you probably contributed the most, they'll probably see, well, maybe he's doing favors for him because he contributed this much. Therefore, maybe that's how they might lead into stating that there's corruption going on. You feel me?
Sure.
So that's probably like as a safety procedure in a way.
Okay,
Just to notice.
you made your opinion, you backed it up. Does anyone care to take the other side, saying that I should be able to donate without having the rest of the 320 million people in America know that I donated?
Well,
What if Mr. Rogers didn't want anyone to know who he donated to?
Yeah,
Because
so he wouldn't be a
because
target.
he didn't want anyone to know his party identification.
yeah.
Just like when you're voting, you don't want anyone to know who you're voting for because it's secret.
Confidential.
So you can argue both sides. Okay.
Our side wins though.
What about Joey? What about Joey? Do you think he should? He wants to run for governor. He's, you know, he doesn't have any felonies or misdemeanors that would prevent him from running. Do you think he should have to reveal all of his financial interests, including any investments that he may have in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or any properties that he may have partial or full ownership in? Should that be required in order to run for public office?
No.
No. Wait.
Only if the money that I would be using would come out of the public treasury.
No. This is your personal. This is your
my
prior.
personal.
Yeah, prior to running.
Definitely not.
Well, then why is it that you have to do that? You have to state all your financial interests on the FEC documentation before you can run for office.
Because they're trying to prevent corruption.
Oh, maybe so that we can see.
They're
like,
trying
that's-
to prevent rules from being broken. It's like they need to keep tabs on who's giving how much money because everyone has to be limited to how much money they can donate.
But Joey,
So maybe they
if it's
could-
his personal money, he can donate as much as he wants to.
So
It is-
maybe they can see whether the amount of money that you receive and the amount of money that you put out for stocks, if maybe they'll see whether I'm using some of the money donated to my campaign to buy my own stocks and I'm going to self-profit and not the other people.
So they have a baseline to see where you're starting from.
I think so.
Limits contributions.
3 other people.
Congress first began to regulate campaign contributions in 1907. No person can give over $2,100 to a federal candidate in the primary or general election.
And again, that is out of date. Make sure you
Also, no person can give more than $5,000 to a PAC or $26,700 to a national party committee in a single year. And no person can give more than $101,400 in 2 years election cycle. Before limits were imposed in 1974, many individuals gave larger amounts.
And that's what you were saying about people like ones that already have their money set on them, like they would implement more towards the card.
soft money. And also, by the way, here's another place where money has made a big difference. And I think this is one of the reasons President Obama went after this, is back in 2004, when John Kerry ran against George W. Bush, he was ahead. It looked like John Kerry was going to win, that he was in the Democratic Party. And he was ahead in the polls. Well, he made some comment I guess at a VA or a retired military breakfast fundraiser, and he basically started touting his career and his medals and all this stuff. And some of the people who served on these swift boats, he served on the Mekong Delta in Vietnam for a brief period, and these are some of the boats that went up and down the Mekong Delta, dropping off military personnel and picking them up off the jungle and stuff, and they got some pretty intense firefights. Anyway, some of the guys who served with him said, the reason we came forward, it was fine if he was doing it in his private life, but once he started making it part of his campaign, we're not going to let that stand. Apparently, he submitted, according to them, I'm not saying it's true or not true, he submitted commendations for himself as a lieutenant over one of the swift boats. And so all these guys who served with him were really upset, and they pooled together in a 501c3 and solicited all this money, and they went after John Kerry. And from here, and from now on, there's actually a new political term. It's called getting swift-boated, because they went after his military career, went after him when he went back after Vietnam to Washington, D.C., and threw his medals over the White House lawn, and went over to Vietnam with Jane Fonda as she was, excoriating the U.S. military for prosecuting. It got ugly, nasty. And he actually, one of the reasons they say he lost was because these swift boaters were able to use donated money to this 501c3, and they blasted the air, radio and TV, with what they said were his false claims about his military service. Very powerful stuff in terms of influencing the vote.
There's that, like, somewhat, I want to say swift boating, but the Jim Costa, how you're driving on Plainsburg, Plainsburg and Negron Road. And there's that sign to your left on the corners where it says Jim Costa is killing jobs.
Yeah.
And then, is that like swift boating? That's like people's kind of swift boat?
It could be. It could be. I don't know that that's actually part of an organized 501c3 where they had the financial. It could be someone who's just in that's their property and they throw it up. When we talk about being swift boated, it's an actual financial organized entity that can accept like soft money, lots of money, and they go for a single issue. And this issue was his military career. They said, we wouldn't have said anything, but he brought it up as part of his campaign, and we want to rebut it. And it's interesting. Yeah, to this day, Kerry is still furious about those monetary donations to that 501c3.
More than 4,000 political action committees are active today, and they are two distinct types. Most represent special interest groups such as businesses, associates, and labor unions. These groups can only raise money from members. Other PACs are connected committees that can raise money from the public.
Limits on expenditures. Congress first began to limit federal campaign spending in 1925. Most of the limits now in the book apply only to presidential elections. In Buckley, the High Court struck down several spending limits set by the FCA Amendment of 1974. It held each of those restrictions to be contrary to the First Amendment guarantees of freedom of expression. After the conventions in the general election campaign, each of the major party nominees could spend no more than $74.6 million, and neither could lay out more than $15 million for its presidential campaign effort.
Public funding of presidential campaigns. The presidential election campaign fund established in 1971 uses taxpayers' money to help fund pre-conversation campaigns, national party convention, and presidential election campaign. The system is set up so that only candidates with national organization can qualify for funding. If a presidential candidate accepts public funding for the general election, his or her campaign cannot take funds from any other source and is limited in what it can spend.
Well, let's be honest about this. It was an effort to stop the drive for just getting more money and having potential candidates focus on the issues. But when you're raising $1 billion on your own, do you think you're going to stop and handicap yourself for free money? Because you're going to be limited, whereas your candidate, your opponent, can continue to raise. Sky's the limit, baby. You know, you're going to lose. Money buys access.
You know, because of the Buckley case, the Buckley versus Vallejo, does that mean that the FICA amendments of 1974, like, we don't use those anymore?
This is a changing landscape. That's why I said very recently, President Obama and the Supreme Court went toe-to-toe with each other. And President Obama was furious because the Supreme Court shut him down. And he told them vocally at the State of the Union address when they were sitting there in the front, he said he called them out. Never in the history of our country has a president called out the Supreme Court justices in a State of the Union address.
What do you say?
He just said something, basically how they were abusing misinterpreting First Amendment rights, something like that. I don't remember the exact subject, so.
Wow.
Said Obama and who? Obama
Calls out the Supreme Court in the State of the Union address.
Basically telling them they don't know how to do their job.
I know, it's a little testy there.
Bell's gonna ring.
Alright, let me get you your,
Makes sense.
sorry fellas.
Justice.